Happy Tuesday, love angels, or shall I say happy testimony Tuesday, love angels. So I'm at work, actually taking a lunch break. Now, before I started my new position, I told myself, I was like, I'm not going to be one of those people who just work and never take their lunch break. Nope, I'm going to make sure I take my lunch break. But, as you know, life happens, and I was like, oh yeah, lunch. Like today, someone asked me, they were like, oh, when you taking a break? I was like, that's right, break. I've gotten now accustomed to my schedule, and it's been so busy, I haven't really had time to take a break. But now that I'm settling in and things are becoming more familiar, I was able to really sit out and take a break. Well, I'm in my car, and now my back is sweaty for some reason. I know, TMI. Anyway, I wanted to share with you guys some of my testimonies from doing my little break from the 80-day. So you guys know I went to my cousin Sean's wedding. Shout outs to Sean. Well, you didn't know at the time, but he was getting married, and my sister and I drove down south, and it was amazing. Now, the struggles with eating on the road. Now, I had all my snacks pre-prepped. I did have my cookies for the soul because being on the program, I wasn't eating any types of sweets at all. So I wasn't eating my cookies. So it was like 2 months or so since I've had one of my cookies. So I ate it and I was like, wow, I see why everyone loves these cookies so much. It was such a treat because I haven't had like sugar in my system. But I was still, I was watching it. I wasn't having too much of that. And I was craving vegan pizza. That's the only thing on this program I was craving the entire time was vegan pizza. And you guys saw on my Instagram, I did a little video of me eating it and it was amazing. And honestly, after that, that was it. I didn't have any more vegan pizza. It was like I just had that one craving and then I was fine. And then I also had a small craving for like my blue organic chips and hummus or salsa. Those are really the only like indulgences I missed. Other than that, I was fine eating the way I was eating. And honestly, on the road, it wasn't bad. I went to a few Mediterranean spots. One is Zoe's Kitchen. Had some great options. They had like a vegan baked falafel. I went to Chipotle a lot because I was able to get their black beans. Some of their options are vegan, so the black beans were vegan. I got guacamole, lettuce, some pico de gallo. And, so that was good. And honestly, for those who don't know, you can find vegan options anywhere. And if you're not too sure, of course, you can ask the waitress, ask them to ask the chef. Because one thing I will tell you is that sometimes people will tell you something is vegan and they don't really know what vegan is, or because there is this confusion with veganism and being a vegetarian. Now, I know before I went on this plant-based, I try not to say vegan so much because there are some vegans who are very, very, very strict on what they wear, what they put on themselves. I'm getting there, but I'm more so I follow a vegan diet. So I like to, make sure I specify that plant-based vegan diet. But a lot of people don't really know the difference. And I know for me, when I was younger and I used to hear about vegan and vegetarian, I was like, what's that? Like, I could never see myself giving up chicken. And now look at me. But a lot of people think when you say vegan that you are vegetarian. So I've told people several times when I was out, oh, I'm vegan, and they hand me fish. I'm like, I can't eat animal products. So you have to really be specific with people because, people don't know. So I always say no dairy, no animal product, no cheese, no butter, all of that. And then they get it. But while I was away, and this upset me, but, I got over it. And this is one of the reasons why I try to make sure I cook my own food. Because you don't know what people put in their food. So before I even go into that story, like when you go into restaurants, you can ask the waitress. If they're not sure, ask them to ask the chef. Because, you never know. You can have an allergy. And this is now something I'm going to have to start saying because of this recent situation. A lot of times when I ask for certain things, they'll ask me, is it a preference or an allergy? And I'll say preference because I don't lie. It is, I'm not allergic. I just choose not to eat this. But if you do say an allergy, they'll make sure it's a certain way because, obviously you can get sued. So, before I go into this story, I recently went out and I was like, oh, what are your vegan options? And sometimes the waitresses don't know. So they'll look into it and they come back. The waitress was I asked her about one of her menus. I was like, is this vegan or plant-based? And she was like, yeah, I'm about 99% sure, but I can ask. I'm like, yes, please, thank you. Don't ever take them on their word the first time. If they ask the chef and they come back and they say the chef says, then you can still pray and hope that it is, because I've been in a situation where I asked the manager and it still wasn't. So that's a whole nother story that I'll get to. But another great tip is you can just go on Google. Whatever restaurant you're deciding to go to, just put in vegan menu, vegan options, and things pop up. So like, for instance, I went to Denny's a few months ago, and when I put in vegan options, there's so many things you can get from Denny's. They have the Fit Fair veggie skillet, and it's like roasted red potatoes with peppers and onions, and you can just tell them no egg. That's just one option. But there's definitely options. Also, even with French fries and things like that, you have to watch the oil, because you don't know what kind of oil they're cooking it in. So on this journey, it's definitely been people tell me all the time, like, oh, it's hard. I'm like, no. And as you guys who've been following me know, it's been a step-by-step thing with me. I didn't give up anything cold turkey. First I gave up chicken, then I gave up turkey, then before the chicken I gave up pork. I was never a beef person, so unless it was like a barbecue, so that was nothing. Then I became pescatarian, and I was doing that for a year, and I enjoyed it. And then last year when I went to Juice Press, which I told you guys about, I was learning more about veganism and plant-based diets. And I was like, oh, I could see me doing this. I tried it out. Before I knew it, I just really gave up the animal product altogether. So for me, it's been a step-by-step. There are some people who can just go to cold turkey, and maybe I could have, but I'm happy as to how I did it, because I can give my testimony during each season that I went through each of my eating adventures. Sorry, I keep getting messages, and I didn't put my phone on Do Not Disturb. So, fast forward to my trip. I won't shout out this restaurant, but it was a specific restaurant, and I was going there. I know I just told you guys a few of the ones that I went to, but so I guess you guys can put two and two together if you want to. But when I went there, they had a hummus, and it was basil pesto. I love basil and I love pesto. So I was like, is this vegan? But when I say vegan, I say, is it vegan? Is there any animal product, any milk or anything? They said no. So my sister and I are just driving home from our trip, and I'm eating my carrots with the hummus, and I'm like, I still remember, like it was yesterday, I was like, this hummus, because I was in this car. I was looking over to the side of me like, this hummus ain't making it home. And I always I'm one of those people that look at labels, and I make sure that there's certain things not in food. And I remember looking at the package and I didn't see it. So I asked the manager, I was like, is it? And he said, oh yeah, it is. And he said it so confidently. And I remember asking, like, are you sure? And then I took his word, because, I really wanted it to be, because it looks so good. So we're sitting in the car, and I'm just driving, and I happen to, like, I don't know, I must have turned the hummus in a certain direction, and I was like, and it said contains milk. I was so upset. You can ask my sister. I mean, I ended up giving her the hummus. She enjoyed it. I spent $8 on that hummus. I was excited about it. You have no idea. And then my sister was like, oh, that's probably why you liked it so much. But I did notice my stomach was bothering me, because I had some the night before, not knowing, and then I had some on the ride back, and I noticed my stomach, but I thought it was just the changing, with the eating on the trip, like just adding in things that I wasn't eating consistently before. So that right there was all the reason why someone told me recently, nowadays, unfortunately, we may have to just tell people we have an allergy. You can't say preference, because what if I had a serious allergy and I got sick, or, possibly something worse could have happened? You can't just tell people something you don't really know. Like, I would have respected it more if he had said, oh, I'm sorry, I don't know, or let me find out, or I'm not really sure. If he said he really wasn't sure, sorry, I'm getting all these texts, then I probably would have stayed away, but because he was so confident in saying, yeah, and he's a manager there, you just trust. So that's another thing. I wish that managers will train their staff so that they know what they're talking about, because a lot of times I go into stores and I'm asking, oh, do you guys have hummus? And they're like, what's that? Or, oh, do you have this? And they're like, I'm not sure. I'm like, I just called your customer service a little while ago and they said you have it. So people who just aren't aware of what they're selling, and I think that that's not a great practice, and that's something that should be looked into further, but that's a whole nother conversation. So back to the testimony. So while I was away, you guys saw I went to the juice bar in Virginia. And I had the vegan pizza, but I was still eating like my fruits. I was eating my vegetables. I told you I treated myself to the vegan, to my chocolate, to my cookies for the soul. Also a little bit of vegan ice cream. But I made sure I worked out every day. There may have been 1 or 2 days I couldn't because of travel time. But honestly, I was focused. It was like, I definitely developed a routine and a habit. And that's what's important, like a lifestyle, pretty much. And even though I was away and I was having certain treats, it was like, oh, you still got to do this workout. You still got to do this. I got to still protect my temple at all times. I have to protect God's temple. So, I liked that it was a good balance. When I came home and I got on the scale, I didn't go up. So I was happy about that. I maintained, but if I'm honest, like I said in today's workout video, if you watched it, although I was still working out, like I did a few 80-day obsession days, and then there were a few days I did a little obsessed, which is kind of like an intro to 80-day. I also did some 21-day fix. I did some short and tea. So I still did some Beachbody workouts. But honestly, yesterday, getting back on track with the time nutrition, I was out my protein shake this whole vacation. I was so used to eating every day farro. I was used to eating oatmeal. I was used to eating lentils. I was so used to eating certain things every day that when I was reintroducing stuff, it was a little different. There were certain things I may have eaten and it's like, oh, this feels different in there, but I know it's not something I was going to continue to eat all the time. So it was definitely good. Like, it's definitely fine to just have those indulgences here and there. I mean, moving forward, I still want to stay away from the sugar as much as possible. Like, I had a vegan ice cream by So Delicious. It's their butter pecan. I love it. And they don't add sugar to that. So I feel good eating that one. But yeah, so not so much with the eating, like what I ate, but the fueling your body, the time nutrition is really key. Because when I was away, I wasn't always eating right before a workout, or I wasn't eating 7 times a day for sure. And yesterday was my first day back. Well, Sunday, I started back with the eating, the time nutrition. Yesterday was the first workout. Now, I got through that fine, but I did feel, not that it was a struggle, but it was like, oh, like my body was, it had to get used to doing that again, because I went like a week and a half without doing 80-day. Today was total body core. I don't know what happened. I've been drinking a lot of water and a lot of tea, and my stomach felt nauseous. And I was like, why do I feel like this? And I think it could have been that break, so it just goes to show that sometimes, or it can also be if you didn't get enough sleep, or like I said, I had a lot of liquids in my body before I did the workout. It could have possibly been that, I don't know. Or just like my body wasn't used to the workout because it's been a few weeks since I've done it, So that was my testimony, but I did just come back and kind of snap back in because I didn't really get off, if that makes sense. Like, I had a few treats, but I still was staying focused no matter what. So I'm just here to motivate and encourage you all that you can do it. I wanted to prove to myself too that, I can go, I can have a few treats, come back and get right back on, my goals, which is honestly, I'm all about the non-scale victories. The number on the scale, I won't, lie and be like it doesn't matter. Seeing that does, get you happy sometimes. But for me, I can't wait to do one of those full body scales, because I'm more concerned about my body fat, my visceral fat, the fat around my lungs, my arteries, my heart. That's what's most important to me. So once I can see that goes down, that'll make me like extremely happy. Inches. And also my strength. One thing I'm so happy about is that even with the week or so off of this, my strength was still intact. Like, I was still feeling strong. Like, when I did the workout today, although my stomach felt the way it did, I kept pushing. I was like, I'm pushing through this. I was like, I'm going to get through this. I was like, your body just ain't used to this exact workout, which was still baffling because I was still doing Autumn's workouts, but I wasn't doing the specific 80-day. Like, phase 3 is all about the shredding, so she definitely tailored workouts and the timing and the eating all together for a reason, and I see now how important it is. So consistency is key. Also, don't give up on yourself. Today's post today was never, never, never give up, and I mean that in every area of your life: spiritual, your mental, emotional, physical, foods, any area of your life. Do not give up. If there's something that you're struggling with right now and you feel like, oh, forget it, or I can't do it, don't ever have that mentality. You know, we have to speak into existence what we want. We have to speak over our lives. Speak the word. You know, speak God's word. And he, oh gosh, these big bugs and I gotta get out of here. You know, don't speak negativity over your life. Like, oh, I can't do this. Or take the word can't out of your vocabulary. My mama told me that a long time ago. Like, there's no such word as can't. And I believe that. I mean, it's a word technically, but it's man-made. God ain't never said in any message, you can't do this, you can't do that. You can do all things through God who strengthens you. I know about that one. With God, all things are possible. Matthew 19:26. I know about that one. Can't, not so much. And you know that he wants us to prosper, and he has a hope in the future for us. And just keep that in mind at all times. All right, well, I have to go back to work now, but I want to make sure that I did this testimony for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please leave it below. Also, I'm going to be starting probably a 21-day fix or 80-day obsession challenge again in September, maybe 21-day fix, because there's a lot of people who've been reaching out to me about losing weight, and I feel like the 21-day fix is a great program to start off with before you even think about 80-day, because 80-day is definitely, you have to, you can do anything. I just finished saying you can't use the word can't. But in regards to like preparation and to really get going with it and just to prepare, because preparation is key as well. And getting your mind ready, 21-day fix is a good segue into that. So that's what I recommend. And like I said, reach out below and I'll send you information and you can join us whenever that group starts. But I want to thank you so much for following me, for following my page. I love you all and God bless. See you next time.